Good evening, everyone. At least it's evening right now. Hope you're doing good. And I hope that it's been a good day. It's been a good weekend for me so far. Tonight, I just wanted to do a little bit of a story time, a little bit of a yapping, and test a little bit of low light as well for this setup I got going on here, as well as a kind of little bit of like sights and sounds, just listening to the car, looking at, the world, things that are going on, Just a bit of a chill drive. I'm heading to meet my parents for some dinner and thought now would be the perfect time. So, I'm gonna tell a bit of a funny story today, a bit of a lesson learned for me, and so one of my oldest and best friends, today we're gonna call him John, because that's easy, that's simple. Now John, great dude, and we both started to get into cars around the same time, or like a similar time period, And that's annoying. Okay, hold up. You solved that? Okay, there we go. So we both got into cars around the same time. Now, we eventually, when he's a year younger than me, so when he went to college, he decided to go to the same college as me. Now, great college, wonderful, blah, 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 all that experience. Occasionally, we would go out for drives, and there was this one time where we had, I don't know, probably like a couple hour break between class, or I think I had finished my last class for the day or something. And we decided, like, hey, let's go out for a little spin, Go out for a little drive, because why not? Is this guy stopping? He is not. Okay. We're gonna have to wait here for a moment. But we decided, let's go out for a drive. It had just rained, and at the time, we liked when that happened because it gave us an excuse to go sideways or just experience a lack of grip. Now, what we had was he had a Legacy, like a 2014 or something like that, with the 3.6 flat six. So like, he's making like 260 probably. So like a good car, it's a good car. It's fast, it's fun. It was sporty. And I had an NA Miata at the time, and that thing was in pristine condition other than some things that will come up later. Now, we were driving along, we were sending it a little bit, we were having fun, and we had this, we were in Tennessee at the time, and the driving roads around there are just incredible. So we had a few spots that we would go to and kind of run back and forth, go up and down over and over again. And we were heading to this one spot, and I took a turn out to a section of road that I was unfamiliar with. It was either I was unfamiliar with it or I hadn't been there in a long time. So going out to this section of road, and it slowly starts to like drizzle a bit. It's already wet out, but it had stopped raining and it had started to drizzle a little again. And I had the roof down, and I picked up my phone and I recorded this little video. I was like, it's raining, but like it's not doing anything because I'm going too fast to basically in a convertible. If you go quick enough, the water doesn't actually land like in the cabin because it's coming at you at an angle. And that's like, I don't know, you can be doing like 20 and that will happen. So like, I don't know, I was going maybe like 30 miles an hour or whatever. And then I was like, I don't know, I just recorded it for like a memory just to have. And I was like, oh, having a great time, blah, blah, blah. And I put my phone down, and we continued going. Oh, that was kind of stupid. I haven't driven this car. I feel like I'm a little rusty with my manual driving right now. But yeah. So whatever, I put my phone away, and about like 5 minutes into like it raining, well, it's kind of like on and off, right? There was never really a stopping point in this drive, so I never had a reason to like put the roof up. So the roof stayed down, and you know, we're going along, and there's this like long straight section. And I'm like, okay. I put on my hazards. I slow down to a stop, and then I decide to do a burnout, basically, because I was just like, whatever, you know, this will be hilarious because it's raining and all that, you know, and the wheels will just go nuts. Well, for two things, this car didn't have an LSD. Well, I guess one thing, the car didn't have an LSD, so it was just kind of a one tire fire. But you know, I was like, what, 18, 19? So I was like, anything I can get, you know, like, I didn't care. I could one wheel peel and have a blast. But also it there was like no grip. I had like no grip. And because of that, what the hell? Oh, oops. Okay. I see what's happening here. I did not realize what was going on. Okay. Pull over here. Wait for this guy to pass. I mean, I guess it doesn't really affect us while we're over here, but just being courteous. But yeah, so, you know, no grip. And I let off, like, it's fine. Like, I ease off, catch the car. We're good. Like, you know, nothing's happening. And up ahead were two 90-degree bends. So it was a big sweeping, well, not sweeping, but like a 90-degree right-hander, and then into a 90-degree left. And there was probably like a little, I don't know, 200-foot straight between them. So take this 90-degree right. I'm doing maybe 30 miles an hour, and we're on a road where the speed limit is 35 or something like that. Or it's one of those like unmarked ones where it's like 25. So somewhere in that range, and I'm doing like 30. And the car goes sideways, and I'm doing this like pretty epic, it's not really a drift, but like pretty epic skid, you know? And I catch the car, and it's a great time, and I was like, yo, that was sick. So I'm like going into this next left-hander, right? And same thing happens, but I don't know why. Okay, so beforehand, in the previous corner, I was kind of encouraging the slide, you know? I put my foot in it a little extra, and then this time, I was just carrying momentum. So since I wasn't coming from a dead stop like before, I was just carrying momentum. So I was maybe going 30, 35, right? I'm taking this left-hander, and the tail kicks out, but it kicks out like a lot. And I like went to correct and braked at the same time. Now that was my my issue, right? I hadn't like driven enough to know that like you don't want to brake. Like, that's not the play, you know? And like maybe I could have like brushed the brakes like a little bit, done like a little like very light braking, but again, like I wouldn't want to do that because I'd be lifting power off the wheels. Now at the time I didn't know that, you know? I'd be lifting power off the rear wheels. Just wasn't even in my head. And also it was basically just panic braking, you know? I brake and I go straight. So like here's the corner like this, and right about here I'm going that way like this. So I go off and I kind of jump over this little, it's not even like a curb, but like the little edge, and I like end up in someone's like front yard basically. So I'm in this dude's front. Okay, well, it's not anybody's front yard. The house had been long abandoned, but I end up right next to this tree. And I'm just like, shit. Like, that sucked. Like, whatever. But nothing on the car was, like, majorly damaged. Like, I didn't, like, jump the car or anything. There wasn't, like, maybe, like, a little bit of body work. But there wasn't anything crazy. Now, that's looking back, you know. In the moment, I did not have time to assess the damage. I had about 10 seconds. I look up, and in my rear view mirror, I see my buddy fucking roaring. He's like steaming in my rear view mirror. I'm like, oh. And I see him start to make the corner, right? And he's not making it. He's not slowing down. And does the exact same thing, like bar for bar, exact same thing as me. Locks up, slams right into my rear, and I just like, oof, you know? I was just like, boof. And luckily, my airbag didn't go off or anything. I was just sitting there stationary. And yeah, I was like, oh shit. Like, I look back, I look in my rearview mirror, and I see like smoke coming out of his car. And I was like, oh fuck. Like, I didn't care about me in that, like, okay, I cared about me. I did like a little self-check. I'm like, all right, I'm fine. It just like hurt a little bit because I went like that, you know. Not like whiplash, it wasn't really that crazy, but like, you know, it happened. And then I get out of the car and I run back to him, and he's like, and I like see this smoke pouring out of the car. I'm like, yo, what is this? What is happening? And he opens the door, and the airbag had gone off, you know, and I didn't know at the time that, like, I'd never seen an airbag go off, so I didn't know that the smoke coming out was from the airbag. There was like coolant leaking everywhere. His door was all fucked up. His front end was all cooked, like it was just cooked, you know. And luckily he gets out. He's fine, but he's like physically fine, but like mentally he's like freaking out, dude, because he's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I didn't mean to do that. Like, you know, he's like, I'm so screwed. We're cooked, you know, because at the time, 18, 19, like, insurance, police report, like, well, we didn't have to file a police report. We did, just for whatever sake. I don't really remember why. I think we just thought we had to. But, you know, insurance, we have to deal with all that. Like, cars are totaled, you know. So he was like freaking out. I honestly, I wasn't freaking out. I think partially because I had a feeling that this was going to go onto his insurance, but also, I don't know. I just, like, I was upset, but my car looked drivable. My car looked very drivable. It looked like it was going to be fine. You know, I looked like it was going to be okay. And, like, I knew his was fucked, but I was like, okay, you know, something good has got to come out of this because of what happened. But yeah, looking back at my car, basically the rear subframe had been bent in. The trunk was cooked. Not too bad, honestly. Like, basically right where the license plate was had been like crunched and pushed in. So basically it would have needed like a rear bumper and I guess like the thing right above the bumper, between the bumper and the trunk, or whatever you would call that. I don't know the name of that. And it would need the frame to be pulled, which wouldn't be horrible. Oh, and it would need an exhaust. This is quite a lot. I bought an exhaust, and that exhaust was now quite dented. It was pretty funny, I gotta be honest. Because it was dangling on the ground, making all sorts of noise. But yeah, my car overall, not terrible. But one thing I learned about my car that day is that it doesn't have ABS, and the tires were 10 years old, which I somehow didn't know. We elected to not tell insurance that the tires were 10 years old, and I don't know if they ever found out or anything, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, that happened, and, you know, we called the tow truck. We called an officer over. The officer did not want to be there. Get out of this guy's way here. And yeah, that was something, man. His car got towed. The engine was not where it should be. The whole front end was cooked. There was coolant leaking everywhere. There was oil leaking. But we have a pretty tough photo from that interaction of him standing on the hood of his car, and yeah, it went pretty hard. And looking back at it, we now laugh at it. Like, he always sends me memes about like, oh, you're not true bro, like car bros if you haven't crashed into each other, that kind of thing. And yeah, it was just pretty hilarious looking back. And his car was cooked. He got a check for that. My car ended up being totaled, which was really sad for me because I loved that car and I only had it for about 6 months. It was the first of a lot of things. It was my first NA Miata, so first rear-wheel drive car, first lightweight car, first car with pop-ups, which I thought was epic. Like, first fun car, you know? And because of that, I was upset at the fact that I had lost my car. I wasn't really upset at him because I was like, okay, whatever. Like, that could have been anybody. It was just hilarious that it was him. But, you know, I then bought another NA because of that with the insurance money. I overpaid way too much for it, and it was an absolute piece of trash. And then I sold it 6 months later. But, you know, at least I had another NA. And that one did have an LSD in it that worked, which was surprising. But that car had well over 200,000 miles on it, so it was interesting. My first one had like 80K, and it was just perfect. But yeah, that happened. So wrapping up here, he ended up, like, we drove my car back. Like, his got towed, but we were able to drive mine back, and it was so funny because we would go over these bumps or train tracks, and the exhaust would ding on the floor like a bell. It was like, ba-ding, like on the floor like a freaking bell, and it was just so funny. But yeah, we made it home, made it back to school, and then over the next couple weeks sorted everything out, got everything figured out. It's just pretty funny. We were able to get the trunk open and get stuff out of it. I still have the license plate off of that car. I still have the little Mazda logo and a piece of piping out of the engine that I had replaced previously, and a little cone that goes in the exhaust to a little, like, what are those called? Not a muffler. It's like a little, you, like, stick it in the exhaust. It makes it quiet. Stick it down the end of the pipe. There was a specific name for it. But yeah, you could, like, take it out and it would become louder, and put it back in and it would become quiet. I don't remember the name of it, but I have that still. And I have some shards of glass from the taillight. Or not glass, I guess it's plastic, but from the taillight. So yeah, pretty legendary moment. Learned a lot of things that day. Ever since, well, actually, recently I've become less scared, but ever since then, I've been scared shitless to drive in the rain. I've just taken it super cautious until recently. I kind of have figured out a lot more car control and gained a lot more confidence back. But yeah, that was something. But yeah, don't push it beyond your means. And if you do it with your friends, because it makes it a lot better. Good things came from that. I was able to eventually afford this car with the buyout from that car. And, oh, that's a nice 911. And I also, he also got a WRX, a 2015 WRX. That is a very nice car. And he still has that. It's been a blast for him. That car's pretty fun. And then I have this now, so, you know, it's perfect. It all worked out. now every time I see a Legacy, I think of getting rear-ended, which is pretty funny. But yeah, my little story for that, and we're just about here, so that's perfect. Yeah, I hope you're having a good day, or I hope this little story time has been able to help. If you do dumb shit, do it with your friends. And I think also, like, looking back, like, you know, I can't change anything that happened. Do I wish I still had that car sometimes? Yeah, but can't change that. And that's fine. And I think also should realize, like, it's just a car, you know. We had an accident. We were both fine. Neither of us were injured. And, you know, couldn't wish for more than that, because, like, those cars are replaceable. It ended a little chapter of each of our lives, and that's fine. Like, those cars aren't in our lives anymore. That's cool. We're still around. We're still going. I think you could apply that to a lot of different things. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't have to look too deeply into it. That's all I can think of. But yeah. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little yappage. I'm gonna try and find a spot here. I guess I'll go there. But, you know, cars are replaceable. Unless if it's one of one, then good luck. But, you know, for the most part, it's not the end of the world if you get in an accident. Not the end of the world. Well, thank you for joining me on this evening. I hope this footage is not the grainiest stuff in the world. But I will talk to you guys soon. And yeah, thank you all for joining me. Have a good one. 36. That's pretty good. What time is it? Exactly 7:05. Perfect. All right, in we go.